Yeah, it's Magic here. Today I wanted to discuss the some of the feelings I had in those relationships. Like in them, I never really understood why I was chosen. I just always just thought I must be broken in some way to keep getting into these relationships, to keep finding people that treated me so poorly or that seemed to want to break me further. But I always just thought I was broken anyway, so I didn't really think that it mattered. A lot of the time I would be found saying things like, oh, it's okay because they're not hurting anybody. And even when people would point out that they were hurting me, I'd be like, yeah, they aren't hurting anybody. Or I'd say they aren't hurting nobody. They're hurting nobody. And then they'll be like, well, you're somebody. And I'm like, no. And I just wanted to accept that I was a person because I felt like I was somehow defective or broken in some way. They could be very hateful at times, which did not help with me feeling broken, and often made me feel very weak. And because they'd always say that I couldn't survive without them, that I was weak and all this other stuff. But as I've started to recover, I realized that I wasn't targeted because I was weak. And even though I felt weak and broken, I wasn't, because if I was, they would have found somebody else. It's no fun to play with a broken toy. You want someone who is strong, and they want someone who's strong and independent and able to take care of themselves. They want someone that's a challenge. They want a new toy. And even though I was in a few of those relationships, I wasn't exactly a new quote unquote toy. I was not broken. I was more like used. And that's what they found appealing. They liked my compassionate nature, my forgiving nature. They liked the fact that I had a lot of willpower not to break. And so that's what they targeted, because they wanted to break someone who was strong and who was going to be hard to break. They didn't want to break something that's already broken. That's no fun. Like with a broken toy, it's lost its value. You might as well just throw it away. They don't want something that they're just that they should just throw away. They want more of a challenge, because they want something that makes them look or feel good. And at first, being with that strong, independent person makes them look good, and then destroying that strong, independent person makes them look good, because no one really notices or sees that they're the one doing the destroying. All they see is that this person seems like they've suddenly lost it or crazy, and a lot of the time, the victim looks like the abuser, which makes the abuser look better. But yeah, what I feel like attracted a lot of them to me was my forgiving nature and my compassion, because they relied on that to get away with it, because they knew no matter what, I would still love them and I would keep forgiving them. And my willpower, because as one of them put it, I was a lot more fun because I didn't break easily. Even whenever he thought that he'd broken me, I would suddenly become defiant again. And he found that fun. I realized that most of them started tearing it down after we'd been together about 6 months. Some were a little bit earlier than that, some a little later, but usually roughly around the 6-month mark, they would start trying to pick apart and tear apart that. They would hate me for it. They would attack me for it. I'm like, well, this very thing that you hate so much about me is what you're relying on right now. And they would admit that, yeah, I like it when it's in reference to me, but I don't think it's a good personality trait for you in general, outside of me, of course. Most of the time in the early relationships I had, I just kind of ignored them tearing it down. I just kind of was like, okay, well, I don't know how to change. Sometimes I would try to change, at least in their presence, but it was hard, and a lot of time I failed. But I basically just accepted that I was flawed because I couldn't not be that way. And then in later relationships, I was just more like defiant. I was like, especially after I had my first son, I became more defiant about this. I was like, no, that's who I am. I'm not going to change who I am at a core level for you. And that caused even more conflict. I think part of it might have been jealousy, because a lot of them weren't capable of that kind of thing. And a lot of them I'd seen under small stressors kind of completely fall apart. So I think in a way reason why they didn't like it was because it showed them where they were lacking. They couldn't be compassionate. They couldn't forgive others. They couldn't have the willpower that I had. And so because they couldn't have it, they wanted to destroy it. It took me until after my second child was born to realize that, though. So, there you have it. Anyway, I just wanted to share today because I want to know that you guys know that I am a person and that I've gone through some of the same stuff you have. And if you ever need someone to talk to, I am available. Anyway, guys, go out and spread the love, okay? Because love always wins.